Hey everybody, Larry Lawton here. I got a good video for you today. This is going to be about the Brittney Griner and Victor about prisoner exchange with Russia. I have my views on that. I've been getting a lot of emails on that, so I thought I'd comment on it. So we can hear that here in a minute. Before I get started, please check me out on YouTube member programs, Patreon. Please check out the book, Gangster Redemption. It does great. Check out all merch out. Got some great merch. Our cigars are going great. Check them out if you're a cigar guy, as I am. You will love the boxes. You will love everything. It was done very high end, and I'm proud of that. Now I want to get into this case. And the reason this case is important to me is because I have my feelings in this case. Now, let me give you who the exchange. In December 8th, just a couple of days ago, Brittney Griner was exchanged for Victor Bout. B-O-U-T is his name. And he was an international arms dealer. I see the way he got caught. And, I read the case and how he got caught. And he got caught in Thailand. He did have an international warrant out for him in Belgium. But I'm not even going to go deep into that. I'll tell you why. In 1991, when the Soviet Union collapsed, it became an international arms dealer. You see movies on that kind of stuff. And, they just took an opportunity to sell something that the governments sell all the time. So they're just really I'm not a big anti-arms dealer. I know people can say, "Larry, what do you mean you're not a big anti-arms dealer guy?" It's not that I'm a big anti-arms dealer. I said there's a lot of businesses that the government does that people just don't want people to do for whatever reasons. Hey, listen, it goes on. I watch some movies, I watch some cases on that, and it's probably more common than we think. I'm going to give you a little bit of background on the case here with the Brittney Griner case. And now Brittney Griner was convicted of entering the Soviet Union. She's a professional basketball player with the WNBA. She's a lesbian and a black woman, and she was convicted of bringing hashish oil into Russia. Now, she was convicted at trial, so she was guilty. Obviously, she didn't fight that. She pled guilty. She admitted it. Have people saying, "Oh, this is not right. This is not our laws," or whatever you want to call them. Let me tell you something. When you go to another country, you better know their laws. Let me tell you what happened to me. I had an opportunity to go to Saudi Arabia and Dubai. And I did not go to Dubai because I read what the State Department and what their rules were on everything. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a wacko or anything like that, but I don't want to be put through those kind of interrogations, if you want to call it. They could stop you in the street and check your mobile phone. If they've caught a nude picture on your phone, you can go to jail and prison. They can confiscate your stuff with no warrants, no any kind of reason they can stop you. They can do that. Now, I knew the rules of the country, and I refused to go, and I lost out on some business, and I didn't want to go. I read what was going on there, and I said, I'm not going. And I didn't want to put myself through that kind of scrutiny. And I'll tell you what, Brittney Griner knew the rules of Russia. She knew the rules. What kind of makes me a little bit upset, and I am an American, and I hope you all know that. Brittney Griner is one of the people who didn't stand for the national anthem. She really downplayed America and didn't want America too much, and I didn't like that. Don't get me wrong. I believe everybody has the right to do what they want. I think you have the right to not stand up. I'm not a big person of that. I'm a big George Carlin listener, and he talks about, what does it mean to take your hat off there in the national anthem? Why don't you put your hands in your pocket? Well, he's right. Pride and love for my country comes from my heart. It comes from my inside. It doesn't come from me doing anything. Well, there is traditions that I like, and I stand for the national anthem. I sing the national anthem, and I am an American. Now, you guys know how I am. I'm a very liberal thinker in a lot of ways. I think this person got a lot of privilege out of this case, and I don't know if that was right. There was another person who could have been let go on this case, and is Mark Fogel. And Mark Fogel was arrested in Moscow airport in August of 21 after authorities discovered 17 grams of cannabis. Now, you look at Brittney Griner, wasn't cannabis. It was hashish. So hash oil. If you want to talk about the worst drug, if there is worse, and again, my views on drugs, I think he had a less of a charge, and he was incarcerated longer than Brittney Griner. So this guy was in jail since Mark Fogel, Moscow airport, August of 2021, where Brittney Griner was arrested on February of 22nd of 2022. So he was in there another 6 months longer. He got a 14-year sentence. She got I think a 10-year sentence. My point is, why did she get out and not him? Why did we negotiate her? Is it privilege? I'm sorry, I think it is. We also have a man over there named Paul Whelan, who was in the military, and he got, as the president of the United States says, he thinks it's bullshit that they called him a spy and everything else that goes along with that. And I think that was no. He was arrested in 2018 on espionage in Moscow and sentenced to 16 years in prison. Family members said Whelan had initially been told that he'd been arrested to be exchanged for a Russian prisoner in the United States, mentioning Konstantin Zhenko, who was later released in return for American Trevor Reed. Now, Victor Bout or Roman Sanchez on July 27, 22, it was announced that President Joe Biden had authorized a trade for Whelan and Griner in exchange for Bout. We ended up getting two people out. A lot of people don't know that as well. And I'm going to talk about that here in 1 second. I don't understand why I'm still sitting here. The Russian position was that Whelan was an agent and so required an exchange of comparable value. What the Russians' point of view is, hey, listen, this guy's a criminal. He was just sentenced to 25 years in prison for arms dealing. And Griner was a prisoner. And we are giving a equal swap. We're not talking about spy for spy or government agent for government agent. Now, I do get that part of it. I mean, and I totally agree with that in its own way. Mark Fogel, another American detained in Russia for possessing a small amount of marijuana, remember that, was also not included in the prisoner swap. However, Sarah Krevenka, an American detained for a domestic violence dispute, was deported from Russia on the same day of Griner's release. Now, that one is not getting any press, but there were two people released on that day. I just think this privilege, because this woman was a black woman, a lesbian woman, and a professional basketball player, is bullshit. I'll debate anybody on who should have been let out. You can't tell me this guy, Mark Fogel, shouldn't have been out before Brittney Griner. I don't see it. I don't see why the big hype and all this. And it's just publicity. And I think that's terrible. I think it's terrible that politics comes into play when you're talking about an American life who needs the State Department, who needs the United States government to fight for them. Now, I'm happy Brittney Griner is home. I'm not mad about that. I don't think anybody should be arrested and put in prison for 10 years for hashish oil or some bullshit in minor amounts. I'm not a believer in that, period. Now, on the guy who they exchanged with, if you wanted to talk about an equal swap, he had a 25-year sentence, she had a 10-year sentence. What's the difference there? Not only that, he was an international arms dealer and he was convicted of terrorism in the United States in Manhattan District Court in New York. But also when he was convicted, the judge in the sentence, and I know the judge, I know of her because she does a lot of cases for the mob and stuff like that. She said in district court, in the Manhattan District Court, Sheriff Shendlin ruled that the minimum sentence was appropriate because there was no evidence that Bout would have committed the crimes for which he was convicted had it not been for a sting operation. And he was also convicted of conspiracies. And you know what I believe in the conspiracy law. I'm not a big believer in it, and we're one of the only countries that do it. He was convicted. He did have supplied 100 9K-38 Igla surface-to-air missiles and armor-piercing rocket launchers to be airdropped by Bout to a agreed landing spot in Colombia. The imposters invited Bout to Thailand to meet their leader. U.S. prosecutors and law enforcement were aided by Andrew Smullen, a former South African intelligence agent and associate of Bout, who acted as a go-between and became an informer against Bout. Now, after his arrest by the Royal Thai Police in March of 2008, based on an Interpol red notice requested by the U.S., Bout and the Russian government fought against Bout's extradition to the United States. But the Thai courts ultimately ruled in 2010 that he could be extradited to face trial in the U.S. federal court. On November 16, 2010, Bout was extradited from Thailand to the United States amid protests by the Russian government, who deemed it illegal. The U.S. prosecution of conviction Bout was Thailand. It was based on the U.S. Department of Justice criminal complaint filed by prosecutors in the Manhattan federal court, which was unsealed the day after his arrest. In May of 2008, Bout was indicted on 4 federal terrorism-related charges: conspiracy to kill U.S. nationals, conspiracy to kill U.S. officers and employees, conspiracy to acquire and use anti-aircraft missiles, and conspiracy to provide material support or resources to a designated foreign terrorist. Conspiracy is such a questionable charge. All it means is you might have did it or you were thinking of doing it. That doesn't have to be overt acts in the conspiracy thing. But they you can get together with people and say you're going to do something, and that becomes a conspiracy. Then they build the case on that. Obviously, whether this guy was a drug dealer, arms dealer, drug dealer, whatever they want to be, he's an arms dealer. He was selling arms to Colombia. Obviously, he didn't sell it to somebody in America. So there wasn't somebody in America saying, "I'm going to go blow up America." Nobody came forward and said that. In 25 years, the minimum sentence conspiracy, he was given the minimum sentence. And that's why the judge said that. Russia's foreign ministry issued a statement denouncing Bout's sentence as a political order. During the trial, Bout's lawyers implied that he was a political prisoner. Bout's wife, Alla, said shortly afterwards that the judge conducted the trial in a proper way. Bout claimed that if same standards were applied to everyone, all American gun shop owners who are sending arms and ending up killing Americans would be in prison. And that is a great point. This case with the Griner and Bout transfer, I'm not so sure this guy Bout deserved to be in prison as well as maybe Griner did deserve to be in prison. So maybe we should have let that guy out anyway. I know people saying, "Larry, how can you say that? He's a victim of the court of law." Listen, I've seen so much shit, people in the court systems in the United States, that I think, George Collins says it best. He says, "Listen, there's a team and you're not on it." And he's right. There is two classes of people who get away with a lot of shit. Now, in this case, Brittney Griner is on the team. I think if there was another administration in the White House, she wouldn't have got out. Or that president would have probably fought for Whelan or Mark Fogel. Now, do I think there should be prisoner swaps all the time? Absolutely. I really do. I think if we can help an American and bring him home to America in any one way, shape, or form, we should do it, as they should do their citizens as well. So I have no question about this case, getting this case and saying what I'm saying. Because when it comes down to it, Brittney Griner was convicted of a crime. She deserved to be in prison, and they swapped prisoners, and I get it. My big issue with this whole entire release was I think Mark Fogel should have been released first. Now, I know that Whelan and the family of the Marine Paul Whelan are happy that Brittney Griner got out, and they're not bitter against that. But they want their person home, as does the Mark Fogel people want him home. And I just don't understand where the president of the United States can go and do that and put somebody of privilege up over a person of citizen. That should be smack in the face of everybody. People should say, wait a minute, you're trying to tell me there's a guy, Mark Fogel, who is in prison 6 months longer for cannabis, 17 grams of cannabis, which is marijuana, not even hashish oil, which is stronger, and what we want to call it that. And he's in jail right now, and he was arrested in Moscow, and he's in a hard labor camp. This guy's a history teacher and was sentenced to 14 years in prison in a hard labor camp. 14 years. Now he's been there 2 years, a little over a year. August of 2021, he was arrested. And Brittney Griner was February of 2022. So if you're looking at this video and you're saying, why do you care that she got out? No, I don't care. I'm happy she's out. But I think Mark Fogel should have got out. And I am here to advocate for the lesser known people, not the basketball player who's got money and influence. She happens to be a woman of color and a lesbian woman. Does that play into the fact that somebody should not get out? I wish the president of the United States fought as hard for Mark Fogel as he did for Brittney Griner. And if the president of the United States said, if I got to take one of them, I want Fogel first, I think he would have got a lot more kudos from a lot more people. Because then he's going to put the best prisoner he can up against that person, and then they're going to do the exchange. If they did that, I would have no qualms with what went on. But looking into this case and reading into this case, yes, I even think Paul Whelan should be put out first. Even the president of the United States says that the Russians didn't want to do it because they considered it a criminal for a criminal instead of they want a spy out. Russia wants a spy out. Well, I don't know the whole real deal and the inside track of what Paul Whelan did, but I wish he would get out. They say he's innocent. I'm going to take them for their word. And I'm sure the Russian people say their guy is innocent as well. Now they say he's guilty, and I'm sure we say our guy's guilty. That we have. Should there be a prisoner transfer? Absolutely, absolutely. And I think they should look into that. Once they're not on our soil anymore, do we really care? All it is costing us money to hold these people. It's costing us X amount of dollars, $30,000 a year, to house this person in an American jail for what? When we can exchange him for a person that's over there in the jails in Russia or whatever country for that matter. So my whole take, and I know people are going to say, Larry, don't be a hater. And I'm not a hater. I'm a realist. And I like to fight for the guys who don't have a voice. If my little voice can help in one way or the other and put people out there, and I want people to start talking about that in the right way, that Mark Fogel should be out of prison before Brittney Griner. I have no hating on Brittney Griner, please. I have no hating on Brittney Griner, and I'm glad she's home. I really am. And she's probably a very talented basketball player. I don't follow the WNBA. I follow the NBA. But if it happened to be a male basketball player, and I don't care who it is, and he got arrested for the same thing she did, I wouldn't care. I think no matter what, that the guy longer in should have been exchanged for if they are doing an exchange. I am glad Vladimir Putin did do this during these times of the unrest with United States helping Ukraine, which I believe in too. So I'm glad that there is dialogue going on, and the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, and President Biden did come to some kind of agreement to let some people out. I think that's a positive. I think that shows more of a positive down the line than anything for what's going on in Russia. Now, my only other thing here in this one is looking at this case is at what point are we going to let this guy Mark Fogel stay in prison? I don't know what is going on, and I am sure we have a lot more prisoners of Russia's that can be exchanged. And do I think they all should be? You know what? I do. You know, if you want to hold them accountable when they come back home, that's one thing. But the people who get caught with whatever drug in the country they are caught in, they have to expect some blowback. Again, I didn't go to Saudi Arabia and Dubai because of looking at the State Department website and finding out what the rules were. And I knew the rules very clearly before I went, or would have went, and I didn't want to have to deal with that. And you know, everybody who goes to another country, I don't care if it's a friendly country, people, you should know what the laws are in that country. And I'm talking about France, Germany, England, Spain, Italy. You should know what the laws are if you got caught with X amount of pot or whatever you got caught with going to that country. You should know the law, because if you know the law, then you have no excuse. And as they say, ignorance is no excuse for the law. So her and his, both of them convicted, have no excuse. But if you're going to get one out, get the one who's in there longest out. That is my beef, and I hope you understand it. I know people are going to give me blowback on that. Hey, Larry, don't hate on her because she's a black woman or because she's gay. And people should know that with me, that is the farthest thing from my mind. In fact, I'm very, very open to sexuality, to color. There's zero prejudice in me, and people who know me know that. And if you watch my channel long enough, you know that. I'm pretty wild myself, and I believe in, being you. So welcome home, Brittney Griner, and bon voyage, Victor Bout. And Mr. Whelan, Mark Fogel, I hope you come home soon. President Biden, if somehow you can hear this, or somebody in Congress or Senate hears this video, question why Mark Fogel is not out and Brittney Griner was. I mean, I'd love to hear some views on that. And you don't hear the media talking about that. And that kind of hurts me a little bit. With that said, everybody, please don't go to another country with any drugs. Make good choices in this country. Please stay safe. Enjoy your life. Have a good time. And make good choices. Have a great day, everybody.